Hey there guys, it's Max Clausen bringing you guys a new deck profile that I've been wanting and to bring to you guys, and I have constantly been playing this deck over and over, both in real life and on Master Duel. So also before I start, I want to apologize to all of you. I know it's been about, let's say, a month or so from my last profile. I don't want to take that long making deck video profiles or videos for you guys in general anymore, because I'm back into this YouTube game. We're getting those subscribers, getting those comments, all that support. Also, for the subscribers, we hit 100 and over that, so I really want to thank all of you for showing me love. So if you can just keep that going by sharing the videos that you seem to enjoy, commenting on what you liked about it, what you would improve on, and some new ideas, because critique is important. Critique is important because we gotta share our ideas about decks and other kind of things we enjoy. But all that much out of the way, I want to show you guys the deck that got me undefeated status for the first time ever at my locals. I was just like, bro, this is insane. I'm literally God for this and not God. Let me chill out. I'm just in this playmaker status right now today. So if you've been following my community posts, which you should also be keeping a constant lookout for, I told you guys I got an undefeated deck profile, and that is with my Adignisters, my favorite link climbing deck. I gotta say, I do enjoy it a bit more than the Salomon Greats, so I'm gonna let you guys decide. But maybe I'll do a poll about what new other deck I wanna make. But But anyway, I'm going to show you guys the main, the extra, and the side, as I often do. So, let's jump right into this. Now, for the monsters, we have one Gachiri Adignister and one Dunmari Adignister. These are your only two high-level in-archetype names that you run, simply because you can actually search them out and send them to the graveyard. So both effects are pretty relevant and very important. Gachiri, when he's in your hand, you can target a face-up monster you control, negate its effects, and then special summon it. And when it's used as link material, you can target a monster on your field, make it unaffected by your opponent's card effects to the end of the turn. So, extender and pretty much protector. And he has another effect that while he's on the field, once a turn, your cards cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. So, it's a really good card. You should always run this card in your Adignista deck. And Dunmari is the reason why we still play the Link 6 package here, going here. So, it has the effect, it has a hand effect where it can summon itself, I believe, and negate an attack. But, we're not really using it for that. We're using this for a grave effect. So, while it's in the grave, and you control a Link 6 monster, you can banish this card from your grave to negate a face-up card your opponent controls. And that's just crazy. So say your opponent has something that's gaining itself for a buttload of attack. Let's say you were fighting against Sword Soul and they have Cheng Ying. That guy is at 56 or 84 or whatever. In battle, they declare an attack. They have nothing that can really respond or whatever. Activate Dunmari, banishing for costs. Target Cheng Ying, negate his effects, and he can't even resolve his effect to banish, because this is banished for cost already. His effects resolve, and now Cheng Ying is back to his pitiful 3,000 and gets beaten down by your towers. So yeah, these two, your high levels Adignisters you run. You cannot play this deck without these two. If you are, you're playing the deck wrong, or you're playing an anime version of the deck. But, play it how you will. Next up, we got the 3 Picari Adignister, or as one of my friends at the locals called it, the little Pikachu. Picari is your spell and trap card searcher, but you only play the spells in the deck because, running the traps is too slow. And you only play that if you're playing the pure Adignister deck and you want to be close to the anime as possible. But Picari just searches out your eye spell and trap cards, or in this case your eye spells. And once per turn, you can target one of your monsters that has a level, and then change it to a level 4. So he helps for your rank 4 plays. Next, I do play the. I opted to go to the one Doyan because I remember seeing a profile and he was running Doyan at 1, and I was just like, that's kind of odd. But then, doing a little more play testing with the deck, and I'm just like, I see. I see why. Because realistically, in this deck, the way I have it built, you're only going to resolve Doyan once. Ooh, the glare is still insane. So you're really going to only resolve Doyan's revival effect. Well, not revival, recycle effect once. Because when it's summoned, it can add back one of your Adignisters from the graveyard back to your hand. So realistically, again, you're only going to do that once, but its other effect is that if this card is used as link material for a Cyberse monster, you can add one of your Eye Speller traps back from your graveyard back to your hand. So it helps to recycle those for you to use a follow-up turn. Next up, we have the one Bududu, my favorite named Adignister. On summon, he will dump any one of your Adignisters, so it will always be this, but if it's in your hand, God forbid, you'll send this. Or if this is in your hand, you send this, but all that kind of spackle and spaz. And when this card is used as synchro material, he can revive the other material used for the synchro summon. So, always going to be one of these two, but if you're playing this deck correctly, you will always revive Picari, and use Picari and revive it with Buru's effect. Next up, for our other three, we play the Achichi. The Achichi Adignister. Have you guys seen his Salamangreat version? It's coming, guys. It's coming. I don't know. I might make that deck, but we'll save that for later. Anyway, Achichi. He is your Stratos of the deck. On summon, search for any of your level 4 lower Adignisters. And he has another effect that during battle, when your monster attacks, or I believe is attacked, you can banish it from the graveyard and destroy your attacking monster or so. I don't know why you would ever do that. Unless you were playing the Fire Phoenix, again, if you're playing a pure version of this deck. But, this deck has evolved so much in such a long time that his second effect is irrelevant. The first effect, we just search, basically. That's all he is, search Stratos. And now the last two cards I am running, and I believe everybody should be playing these two, because why wouldn't you, is the one Hiyari Adignister and the one Doshin Adignister. Similar reason. These two, while you control an Adignister monster, just special summon it. Nothing else. Nothing more, nothing less. Just summon it. I don't know why you wouldn't run extenders in a link climbing deck. So they both also have other effects, but that's if you're running the ritual and the fusion cards, which we do not. Next up, I am opting to play the one Ignister Island. Again, going back to, I forget whose profile it was that I was researching for different ideas, and he was running the one island, and for the longest I played this at 2. And I was always like, I gotta use 2 because I had played Eye Contact. And if you don't know that card, if you have this card and you have another copy of it in your hand, you can activate Eye Contact, put the second copy back on the bottom of your deck, and draw 3 cards. Now that is good, yes, but in this deck, in the way I built this deck, yet again, you're not trying to do all that. You already have more than enough searching, and you're just trying to go for game when it's your turn. So, Ignister Island, while you control no monsters in your main monster zone, you can, once per turn, activate this card's effect, so you can Ghost Ogre this or whatever. You can special summon one of your level 4 or lower Adignisters once for each different attribute. So you can realistically summon all 6 of these different attributes in one turn, should your play goes. But you'll only be summoning about 4 or so with that. And if it's destroyed by an opponent's card effect, you can banish one of your Adignister monsters from your graveyard, set it back to your field. So that's another reason why I did decide to bump it down to 1, because it's searchable. I can revive itself by its own effect. It's already doing enough. So yeah. Next, I have the 3 I Meet You. Love that this card got a rarity bump and needed it. So this card, You can reveal a Cyberse monster in your extra deck with 2300 attack exactly, and add one of your Adignisters from your deck that shares that monster's attribute. However, the downside is that if you do not summon that monster revealed by this card's effect, you take its attack points as damage. So, you know, sometimes you'll sometimes you'll summon the monster just so you don't. Sometimes you don't. Realistically, will always show a fire or the dark. Or in rare cases where we need it, we search out the light. The whole premise of this deck is that if you have any one of these that interact with the deck in any way, you're golden. You've got full combo, which is ridiculous with this deck. Next up, we have the 2 in archetype reborn spells, which is crazy. The fighting spirits and the idle reborn. So fighting spirits, you target a monster Adignester in your graveyard, summon it, and what else would you do again? If your Adignester monsters would be with 2300 more attack would be destroyed by effect, you can banish this from your graveyard, and if it's banished, you can activate its other effect. Your Adignester monsters with 2300 more attack cannot be destroyed by battle this turn. So it's another irrelevant effect, but you know, it can come up if it can come up. Idle Reborn, same thing. Target an Adignester in your graveyard, special summon it. And if your monster battles, I believe it's just Cyberse, you can banish this card and another monster. Add one of your Eye Spell or Trap cards back to your hand, which is another recursion. So another reason why we only run this. And the 2s and the last 3 support cards, just for more searchability, and the Ash bait. 3 Silent Mining. Just pitch a card, search your deck for a level 4 lower Cyberse monster. No more, no less. And I do really hate that this is Ultra and these are secrets. I'm gonna very bump this one up, guys. Just wait. But you know, gets the job done. If I have 2 of them, let's discard the ugly one. So that's it for the Cyberse and or the I portion of the deck. Let's go forth into the rest of the deck that made this deck crazy. So your boy is opting to main 2 Nibiru, 2 Ash Blossom, and 2 Drolan Lockbird, because the way I built this deck, I want to go second. I want to go second because I have multiple ways of interrupting my opponent. Nibiru for those decks that overextend because they just don't respect Nibiru, but if you hit them at a crucial point, it can stop them in their tracks. Not all decks, but some. Ash Blossom, just because, you know, it hits everything. And Drolan Lockbird, every deck in this format searches. Even if you don't think it hurts you, it can still cause an inconvenience when you try to activate this one card effect, and it's go like, oh wait, I can't. Damn. So yeah, that's come up quite a few times. They're like, oh yeah, I'm on the draw. Dang. Alright, just do this and that. Set 1, set 2, pass, all that. So yeah, these just hinder our opponent. Next, we play the 3 Dark Ruler, the 3 Crossout Designator, and the 2 Lightning Storms. Now these is why you go second. The opponent has a crazy field of just multiple Omni Negates, and you can't get over it. We got the Dark Ruler for that. If they have multiple back row or monsters in attack, after we Dark Ruler, we can just Lightning Storm it up. And if we do happen to go first, we want to make our untouchable towers. Our opponent does hit us with either an Ash or a Droll or a Nibiru. I got the Crossout Designator for that, bruh. Like, no. There's also a reason why I'm only playing 2 of each of these, because 1 to use, 1 to use with Crossout. So, you know, if I draw them, it's whatever, you know. If I draw it, I draw it. If I don't, then, you know, I'm pretty good. And it's that same case, like, if you draw both of them and, you know, you get hit with it, then you just aren't going to be able to extend, and you're probably meant to lose that one. Finally, we are playing for the traps, the 3 Imperm, and the 2 Evenly. Again, another hand trap, going second, board wipe, interruption. Dark, just these two is a sacred combo. Dark Ruler, evenly. You got something else? Lightning Storm. Bye. Everything's gone. Like, I don't want you to have anything while I make my towers that will just win me the game. Well, that is it for the 40 card main deck. Solid. I love it. It was insane. So now we go on to the side deck. I mean, extra deck, rather. Extra deck is very basic, very standard. We have the 1-win Pegasus. Once per turn, you can destroy spell or trap cards your opponent controls up to the number of Adagnister monsters you control, including himself. And if one of your cards on your field gets destroyed by an opponent's card effect or by an opponent's card, either by battle or effect, you can banish him, spin one card from your opponent's field back to their hand or deck or whatever. So, you know, part of the combo, you just use him up. We play the Light Dragon just to search off our Picari, but he also has a very good effect that you can, once per turn, detach a material, destroy monsters your opponent controls up to the number of Adagnisters you control. So, polar opposites of each other, you know, light and dark. Also, when your Adagnister monster inflicts battle damage, you can reborn one of your Adagnisters from your graveyard, which is pretty crazy. We play the 1 Lingeribo because, you know, its eyes, an alternate version of Linkeribo, and it just goes with the deck. I never really summoned this card, but it's good to have it because, you know, there's always going to be, you know, the one hand you probably go first, or you just want to make it so your opponent can't do anything, so you have a leftover monster, just link it off in the Lingeribo. Activate the trap, I banish it, bye. We play the 2 Dark Infant Adagnister. On Link Summon, he'll search your Ignister Island, so for the longest time before this card, Picari would always have to search out the field spell unless you ran Terraforming, because the field spell is just that important. But now that you don't need to anymore. Its other effect is that if a Link monster you control activates its effect, I believe while it's pointing to you, no. Yeah, when your Link monster with original 2300 attack activates its effect, you can chain his effect to move him to where he's pointing to. He's pointing left. Move it, and then you can choose to change his attributes. So you can go into Divine, basically, is what you would call, because you have every other attribute under the sun. And then just make our big boy. The card that was a clutch against my friend at Locals was G Golem Crystal Heart. Woo-wee, that glare on her is crazy. I like it though. She looks like she's fire. You know what? Keep it. Yeah, G Golem Adagnisters. So this card, its effect is very situational. It can revive one of your Earth Cyberse Link monsters back to where it's pointing to, and then while it's co-linked, that monster gains attack, and this card can be targeted for an attack, and it gets a counter. But you just want this here because you do play the Transcode Talker, and again, that came up very rarely. It just did, and I was like, bet I can use this. That's crazy. Next, anyway, we got our Cyberse Wicked. Please give him a rare. I pray to God that he gets a rarity bump in this upcoming 10 or whatever. Anything summoned to his Link Zone, you can banish add a Cyberse monster from your graveyard to add a Cyberse Tuner. And I believe while he's in the extra monster zone, he prevents card destruction. I don't know all about that, but you know, we just use the effects for the effects, guys. I play the 1 Splash Mage. I know some builds play the 2, but I don't think you really need to. Like, 2 is just if you're trying to just be overkill or just being excited, just be too cautious. So, I mean, I get it if they hit this with an imperm or whatever, or negate its activation, I go into the second one. But don't have the second one anymore. So, just the 1 Splash Mage. He gets his job done. Revives back one of your Cyberse monsters from the graveyard, negating its effects. We play the Update Jammer because, you know, for the we do play the access code OTK. Used for link material, the monster you summon, you can give it the ability to attack twice that turn. We play our Decode Talker, Heat Soul. You can give up 1,000 each turn to draw a card, and he has the decode stat talker effect where he gains attack to whatever he's pointing to, and he could tribute himself to summon one of your other Cyberse Link 3s with 2300 attack, but you don't want to do that. We play the transcode. If you see another deck profile of Link Climbing, you know what this card does, but if you haven't, once per turn you can revive one of your Link monsters back to where he's pointing to, and while he's co-linked, he and the monster he's co-linked with gain 500 extra attack. We have our boy, the Dark Templar. I like his Japanese name, Dark Knight ad Ignister, so much. When something's summoned to this monster's zone, you can activate his effect to revive ad Ignisters from your graveyard, level 4 or lower, up to as many zones he's pointing to. So with him and an infant, you will have all 3 zones open, because back then we would only have 2. Sad days, but we're past that. And when your monster destroys something by battle, he also revives one of your monsters. For the 4, the Topologic Bomber Dragon, I'm going to be honest, I never go into this thing. I never do, so I am going to change him out, so I'm not really going to talk about his effect. It's irrelevant. Never go into it. The only 4 you really go into is the Access Code Talker. We all know what he does, and it's just ridiculous. So, one thing I learned from my friend that I actually didn't know is that you guys, when you link summon Access Code using Update Jammer, you want to make Update Jammer Chainlink 1 and Access Code Chainlink 2, because your opponent cannot activate any cards in response to any of this card's effects. So, Chainlink 1, and in that same chain, I have this. This is a mandatory activation. Well, not mandatory, but it's effect that happened. Is it a mandatory? Yeah, no, it's not. But regardless, activate. They have nothing that can stop it, or whatever, I believe. And then his effect basically makes Update Jammer just immune to being hit with a negation or whatever like that. So access code for the OTK, and then the big boss himself, the Arrival Cyberse ad Ignister. So for every material used to summon him, he gains 1,000 attack. The max you get is 6, and the lowest you get is 4,000. It's a shame that he can never go to, well, he can go to 5,000, but that would have to have like a Link 2 and 4 of the monsters, I guess. It's so goddamn stupid that Link 3 just can't be just 2. Like, Konami, fix that. Fix this summoning condition for Link monsters. Like, Jesus Christ. I can't ever get over that, guys. I'm sorry. Anyway, that's it for the main deck and stuff. Now to the side deck, and the side deck is still undergoing a little bit of work, but here's what I have so far that did get me the wins. Well, one of the cards, really. The 3 Gamma Seal. If I go second, and my opponent sets up a monster that happens to be bigger than my Arrival, or I just can't do anything to it, here's a Kaiju. Here you go. So anyway, on to my plays. So, Gamma Seal, basic. For the back row, I know this is pretty odd, but I do play the 1 Feather Duster and the 2 Twin Twisters. So I know I have the Lightning Storm in my deck, but these are just because if I happen to go and when I make myself go second, and my opponent sides in things like Anti-Spell, or there can only be 1, that's where the Twin Twisters come in. That I can chain both of them. And the Harpy's Feather Duster, I guess, as well. Maybe I just throw in the 3rd Twin Twister. I don't know. Maybe. But never even had to use any of these. The funny card that I did end up using, 3 Prohibition. I know you guys are just like, what? Like, who besides that card? And guys, don't sleep on this. This card is insane. It's literally how I won my first duel, and I'll tell you about it after we finish with our side deck. But call any card, For the rest of this duel, while this is face up, your opponent can't use it. It doesn't exist. Can't use it to summon, can't activate it, nothing. But it doesn't affect cards that are already face up. The 3D barrier, just for when I'm going first, just set this up. Despia, Fusion. Sword Soul, Synchro. Purely XE. The new Novellis, Hungry Burger, or Libromancer. If I happen to go up against a Hero deck, Ritual just answers that, stops all that. And the card that shuts down Sky Strikers, Runic, and Sprite, somewhat. 3 anti-spell. So, that is it for the entire deck profile. So, let me tell you guys about my duels. So, my first duel, I went up against ABC. Didn't know that because the first duel looked like it was Dragon Link. He summoned Ancient Fairy, tried to use her effect. I had the Ash Blossom. That was the crucial moment. I was just like, he did some other things. I was like, nah, I'm gonna wait to use it. He summoned Ancient Fairy, used her effect. I Ash. He had to end his turn. Game 2, he did his plays. He summoned the Spriggan monster that didn't really, the rank 4, and he used that to go into that Spartan thing that can search out Therian King. Used his effect. I had the Ash Blossom again. So he set 2 cards, passed his turn. I draw this for turn. Activate it. I call Infinite Impermanence. And his 2 back row exactly were impermanent. They were just locked forever. Because this card says that cards that are currently face up are unaffected by this. However, trap cards have to remain set until their point of proper activation. So since Imperm can only target my monsters and I had none on the field, so I'm going to call Infinite Impermanence. He sat there dumbfounded, like, yeah, you got it. I made access code, went in for game. Also, for the first game, I made access code. I had this, and I summoned it back with Greek Crystal Heart. That was insane. Oh boy, man! I wish I had this tripod when I duel, but I am going to start taking it to local so I can record my duels, guys. So be on the lookout for that. Anyway, that is my Cyberse deck profile that went undefeated. I still can't get over that. Like, I knew my deck build was really good, and I felt good that day. I was like, I feel like I'm gonna do really good today. And look at that, your boy came undefeated. X and O. Only time I lost one duel was against Mikanko, and I just haven't fought that deck in a while. I did once, but it's been some time. Anyway, if you guys, I know this profile was very long, but this is my favorite deck, guys. Favorite Link Climb deck. Adignister is probably the best. And you guys probably like, why didn't you got the Math Mech? Guys, to go undefeated without the use of Math Mech cards, just like, this deck is good on its own. It doesn't need all that extra stuff. That's just fluff and just extra money that doesn't need to be wasted. So, I think I really proved it, that this deck can go very well without the need of that. Anyway, going on long enough about this deck. So, if you guys enjoyed it, please leave a like. Leave some comments down below of what you guys would play in this deck yourselves, or how you would improve it. And let me know what you think about this going second build that I have of it. And be sure to share this video with your friends, for anybody that likes Link Climbing or Cyberse, or likes I as a character from Vrains. And if you, just really like Cyberse decks, be sure to hit that subscribe button. It really helps. Really appreciate the love you guys been showing me. Even when I don't upload, still get comments and replies to my other videos, which I will be updating, because we got new cars. We got some more money in our pocket. We got stuff coming in. Alright, and this is Max Clausen signing out.